The endless cycle of Kabam putting in new champions that are very strong defenders, and of course the spending elements to go and get those defenders, and the weight that especially free-to-play players have, and players in general, it's not just free-to-play players, to get some of the attackers to then defeat those defenders. Rinse and repeat. So if you've been living under a rock for the last 10 years or so, then you won't know the way that Kabam have over those 10 years, not all of those 10 years, but a good chunk of them, have put out defenders, and then it's been like, okay, so they're strong defenders. Well, what's there to counter it? I mean, a good example is what you can see right on screen right now. And a kind of double topic merged into one when it comes to defenders. So Bloody Rose put at the start of this month, I get it, she's a great defender, referring to Enchantress. So many parts of the game, I'm seriously curious if anyone actually uses her on defense. The forums are loaded with complaints about seeing quarter of Alliance Force defense being Enchantress and wasting bans on Enchantress in Battlegrounds. Plus, there's a lot of hate on the new Battlegrounds blacklist. That's another thing another day. Not fair, I might not be able to use Enchantress, Bullseye, Serpent on defense. With all this hate on Enchantress as a defender, do you play as an attacker? If it's how it seems and people are using her 90% of the time only on defense, it seems like Enchantress is overdue for a rebalance. You can see this is the vote here. So 189 people voted. And do you actually use Enchantress as an attacker? 75% said no. And currently for defensive-based options, I have Onslaught commonly banned. I normally have Enchantress commonly banned. And at times, not all the time, I do have Bullseye banned, which if I can find it, there he is. Bullseye banned as well. But when it comes to Battlegrounds, I largely use them as red herrings. A lot of people do opt to ban them. And yet you could say, well, Rich, if I ban the 3 champions you just mentioned, you're probably going to use them if I don't ban them and ban all your attackers. Yeah, quite possibly that would be the twist in it, but largely I've set up my Battlegrounds deck to be around defenders that I've specifically built, and I think that's what I'll do from a strategy perspective, is have champions I think are going to be really good defenders, and have actually proved themselves time and time again as being great defenders. Although someone found a really good option in attack against one of them. I'm not going to reveal what, but I'll tell you what, I was very, very impressed. But it did get me to thinking about these particular threads of mention and this constant repetition and rotation when it comes to how Kabam decide cadence of release of what they determine to be a strong defensive-based champion and, of course, attacking-based champion. As non-spending players in MCOC, we're largely limited to get ourselves Titan-based crystals, which means our early access to some of the more striking and defensively-minded champions, frustrating champions, are going to take it. It's going to take a bit of time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon for a lot of non-spending players. We've talked about this before when it's like, Kabam, when it comes to deals and spending, you're buying your time back. Could you see that as a good commodity, like to invest? Some people do, and I've got no problem with anybody that spends in MCOC. You're financially propping up the game that we've all loved as a community for the last 10 years. But trying to access some of these particular champions becomes, of course, frustrating. I think even more so because we're looking for multiple options to take on certain champions. With Bullseye being slightly nerfed, again, don't shoot the messenger with that, and don't go like, well, it wasn't nerfed. Well, yes, it wasn't nerfed, but they changed some elements of rotation around the SP1 a little while ago, and of course nowadays it's like you can just pick and choose the mutant to kind of counter Bullseye because there's a lot more. Could the same be said at a later date for Onslaught? Well, we're still trying to find options. I mean, you look at yeah, I mean, Onslaught is definitely a good option to kind of mention because, like you see in this year, we've had champions like the Maker, he's kind of counter Arnhem Zola, yeah, Bastion, yeah, but it's not like there's not a huge width, and that's the one thing that I'm kind of like hoping for in the future with what Kabam could put out, but it's taking time. Even more so when you look at the likes of Enchantress, which was a 2024 based champion towards the latter part of the year. I've just gone past it there. August of 2024, we are going into the 1 year of the champion being released. And I'm not saying there's, well, I can't keep saying there's not saying, but there are counters, but they're not as strong. This is why I think right off the bat, Falcon, Joaquin Torres, which was August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 6 months. Kabam going with like a 6 months plus cadence for, we've got a counter for this particular type of champion. It'll take a bit of time. We're going to give you it. I don't think Spider-Woman Jessica Drew was that answer to that. And whether or not High Evolutionary could be to that, again, I don't think so. But Kabam do need to roll out counters to these champions because, well, they can't just leave it like that. But it's the same rotation. Because I've largely made my bed with it that this is what the game is. It's like, oh, here's a really powerful defender. And then it's like, well, here's down the line an attacker which is going to straight up counter it. Unfortunately, it does create that kind of like FOMO, but also if you miss out, you will be punished by the elements of taking on. It's even worse if you've got gating systems around starage. A good example would be Wheel of Fate. I'm just not going to do that content. I'm just really disappointed in the extent of, well, you need a 7-star version of something. Yes, lower starages of, oh no, not lower star, but other champions can do it. But you do have these pain points. Like, why should I feel I've got a pain playing this game? This game is meant to be that kind of detox that, you know, watching a movie, playing it at the same time, relaxing. Do people relax and play games? Well, people do. And it just like it takes that fun element of it and makes it incredibly grindy. Of course, RNG plays a factor because you've got to get the champion. If not, you've got to farm a load of units to get selectors. And Kabam will largely say, well, you can get the champions. You've just got to grab the selectors. Yes, but you can only grab the selectors for certain champions to counter these champions at least 2 times a year. 2 times a year to access special selectors, guaranteed. And you need a ton of units for the trouble. So it's always a really tricky situation to go, I love this fun like fighting game, but trying to access some of these attackers to counter these really tricky defenders is a little bit of a ball ache. There's a really interesting thread that I did kind of like see at the start of the month, which I did want to kind of bring into this particular video. So Outer Vista said, after seeing the previews for Maker and High Evolutionary, we got Onslaught Counter 2, Tough Defender Science Edition. And that comes on the heels of June, Arnim Zola Counter 1 and Tough Defender Mystic Edition. May, Tough Defender Skill Edition. Enchantress Counter April 2. So we're talking about that there. March, Onslaught Counter 1 and Pre-Yelena Counter. That again is another factor. Feb, Enchantress Counter 1 and Bullseye Counter. Jan, Tough Defender Tech Edition and Bullseye Counter. And yes, I'm being reductive, but it does seem like there is a specific design philosophy for 2025 champions, where there's a direct casual link to why a champion has a specific ability. Even 2024 champs already showed somewhat of a pivot to this type of design philosophy. Looking at a list of 2023 champions makes me nostalgic now for the previous era where they didn't seem to be direct casual links to why a champion's kit is the way it is. And yeah, specifically going back to 2023, because I think it's very good to kind of go back in time to that. What do we have? Well, we had Onslaught, might be a little bit of a different one there. Chilf, Kashala, Maestro. I mean, like, there were counters in place, but there were better counters that came on. Kashala was obviously a decent counter for Maestro. Werewolf by Night, Morbius, Gladiator, Vox, all of them had like, you know, counters in game you could use. Photon, Miscounter, Kindred. There's some specific ones, but there's a rotation that you could do in order to suppress. Silk, more of an attacker. And yeah, like the list goes on. Shocker, yeah, again, you get some counters there. Yeah, like 2023 was really good for attackers and also good structure around counters in game, but also counters coming in and attacking based options. So that's a very kind of like good point, and kind of like it's scary. And maybe it's just like a cadence. Kabam were like, well, we're just going to do this in 2025 with it. And I'm getting really, it does get a point where you look at War, you look at Battlegrounds, and you just go, It's copy paste. We had this before. I think I said about this on the channel like 2023. Well, not 2023, maybe 2022 then with Battlegrounds and stuff and Alliance Wars. It's just copy paste. It's the same. It's the same. It's like on repetition of champions with it. Anyway, what's everyone else's thoughts on this? I'm going to leave it to you in the comments, but also I'll leave links to these forum threads because I just think that it's some good interaction with players with it, like what you find with frustrating defenders, repetition. I think that's the thing as well. It's just like, where's the cadence? You know, is there a cadence? Is Kabam constantly changing it up? Is there a way that they're trying to make a little bit more money from getting early access bundles popping off with purchases? I don't know. Maybe that's wrong to kind of like put that as a theory, but I thought this was a very interesting thread. Lots of interesting discussion, pro and against, and it's always good to see that. But yeah, frustrating, not frustrating. Your thoughts in the comments. Go and check out this thread and have some interaction with these people here. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Check out some other content, support the channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.